What's going on, everyone? So, JJ Redick recently talked about how Anthony Davis at the 4, he really likes because of his versatility out on the perimeter, being able to switch and defend out on the perimeter. You saw in the first quarter of the Phoenix Suns game, Anthony Davis and Jaxson Hayes playing in the front court. Now, Jaxson Hayes, said this before, not really ideal as far as your primary backup or even eventually a starter or anything like that at this moment. Could he eventually get there at some point? Sure. But this season, I don't really see it. I like Jaxson Hayes. Don't get me wrong. Jaxson Hayes for a third big is fine, right? High energy, help rebounding. He talked about how he really wanted to improve on his rebounding. So far, he's actually been very good rebounding the basketball, right? But all the other intangibles, he hasn't really improved on, right? He talked about not creating moving screens, still getting called for moving screens. Talked about defending without fouling, still fouling when defending. All of these issues are still very apparent, but if he's in a backup to the backup role, then you're only asking him to play 10 minutes a game in spots, just kind of come in, be a high energy guy, and on the off nights where Anthony Davis gets the night off or something like that, then Jaxson Hayes is moving in. But JJ Redick has kind of sprinkled in the center, needing a center, kind of periodically throughout the course of his hiring to now. He's talked about how they need a big, physical, sizable center. Even in the press conference, right, he was asked the question about a traditional center, and he was like, define traditional center. And no, he even said later, I know what they're talking about. We're aware, we know, just pulling their leg, kind of just messing with them a little bit, right? Rob Pelinka is very aware we need a center. Problem is the center well is really drying up, right? Talked about Wendell Carter Jr. Signing with the Orlando Magic, or signing an extension with the Orlando Magic. He was already on the Orlando Magic. And outside of that, it's just like Valanciunas, sure. If I had to put my money where my mouth was, I had to kind of, hey, Tyler, which center do you think is most likely come the trade deadline? Giannis Valanciunas is who I'd take my money and put it on. But perfect world, Walker Kessler, just because of his age, his growth, his potential, kind of comes in and fits in nicely, can be that double-double guy, make some plays out of the post, especially with the type of offense that we're willing to run, and he's even shown the ability to stretch out and knock down the three ball on occasion. He's not really there yet. He's still a project big. He still definitely needs some work, growth, and development, but he's young enough to have been drafted in this year's draft. Younger than our draft pick in Dalton Connect. So take some time, develop him, but he's a guy that can come in and make an impact immediately. Outside of that, you're looking at like Nick Richards. He would be solid, but the Charlotte Hornets, we don't even know if they're really interested in even trading him, and they've been starting him. So are they really going to be willing to trade him and unload him? Probably not. Then you're looking at like Mitchell Robinson or Robert Williams, which, in all honesty, they are probably the two best centers for like what we need. Big, physical, athletic, hard-nosed, can rebound, one of the best offensive rebounders, right? Block shots, run the floor, do a little bit of everything. Like, if you just picture what does the Lakers need, particularly alongside an Anthony Davis, those two guys make all the sense in the world. The problem with both of those guys, as similar as they are playing-wise, are also similar in injury-wise, which kind of tells you for the type of players they are. I don't think that that's a coincidence. Just the type of play that they exert game in and game out, and the physicality that they bring. Right? It's just wears and tears on you, right? So you have two guys that just can't stay healthy at the center position, and what is the cost? What is it going to take to go and get those two guys are the problem, because it's not worth giving up a first or anything like that for guys that only going to play 40 games a season. All right, now you do need him in a backup role, and saw him on occasion alongside Anthony Davis, but still, you want to be able to play them 25 minutes a game at least, and not have to worry about, if we do that once, we run the risk of them missing 30 games, right? So that's the problem. And then last would be Clint Capella, right? Clint Capella, I like him for his expiring contract, right? Like, if all else fails, go and get Clint Capella, and then you have him, and if you don't trade D'Lo, then you got D'Lo's money. LeBron James could go all the way to a vet minimum if you want to do. He's not going to go that low, but the fact that he was willing to take like $20 million to go and sign guys like Klay Thompson. You don't think he'd be willing to go sign Kyrie if he's available, or end up pulling off a trade for Steph or something in the offseason? Point is, it just gives you some flexibility in the offseason, so I don't hate the idea of Clint Capella. And if he works, then you can just kind of sign him to a new deal, maybe $10 million a year, kind of give him the Valanciunas type of offer. But again, what does that cost? How is that? He's not what he used to be, but he still can block shots, still one of the better offensive rebounders, give you a double-double. He'd slot in nicely. But again, we clearly and desperately need a center. But JJ Redick, you keep hearing him talk and mention centers and Anthony Davis at the 4, and Anthony Davis has made it abundantly clear that, like, hey, I don't want to play the 5 full time. He's not saying, like, I won't ever play the 5. He's not saying I won't start at the 5. He's not saying I won't play 20 minutes at the 5. He's just saying, like, I don't want to play 35 minutes a game and it's all at the 5. Right? I'd like to be able to pace myself throughout the course of the season, right? So I'm not so worn down and all the wear and tear for playing the center position. I'll play it, but can I split? Problem is just like, if you put AD at the 4, well, then now you got Jaxson Hayes at the 5. I do like the idea of Christian Wood. So, like, you could do something where Christian Wood is your 5 on defense, and then AD is your 5 on offense. So you just kind of rotate those two and then rotate them back. So defense, Wood, AD, offense, Davis, Wood, right? And Wood's ability to stretch the floor plus Anthony Davis. You could do all kinds of creative actions and stuff with that. Problem is that Christian Wood is undersized. He's not a true center, but he gives you more offensive versatility. He gives you more flexibility. You can just do more with him as opposed to Jaxson Hayes. But you look at Jaxson Hayes. Okay, he slots in and he doesn't give you that rim protection. Now, he looked good alongside Anthony Davis because it's Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis is so good, you could pretty much put whoever you want alongside him, and he's going to look good. Because Anthony Davis just covers so much ground, and teams are still worried. And when you put AD in the scout role to where he's not the last line of defense, he's the help defender and the weak side defender, and his ability to, again, cover so much ground, he becomes even better of a defender. Right? Because he can now survey and read, and he reads the court so well that he can just impact on the defense side even more than he already does. So he's going to cover up a lot of ground for these guys. But again, then you might as well just play AD at center, because you're going to still wear him down because he has to make up for all of the errors from all the other guys. Where, your best case scenario is you're hoping that, like, Christian Koloko works out. But we don't even know if he's ever going to play. Right? He still hasn't been cleared by the NBA. And it's like, we're already in preseason. We're already playing preseason games. It'd be nice to get him cleared and start kind of, weaning him in. Like, giving him some opportunity here to play some quality minutes. And you're just not getting that. Right? And it's frustrating because it's like, what's the deal with him? We could use him right now. Right? And so your hope is that he clears, and because he's just the better shot blocker. And he still gives you that energy, that effort, right? He can kind of play the Derek Lively role better than Jaxson Hayes can. And so your hope is that Koloko comes in, kind of fills that void, and then Anthony Davis can play the scout role. And then Anthony Davis, because Koloko is such a good shot blocker, can defend and moves well, and even has shown the ability to defend out on the perimeter, that Anthony Davis won't have to help as much, right? He can kind of just play that middle role, right? He can play that free safety where he can close out on the perimeter, where he can get and be the help defender if guys are trying to penetrate. Again, he can kind of read the opposing offense and kind of react accordingly. But I don't really see this getting resolved until the Lakers pull off a trade. All right, like Koloko, yeah, he'd be better in my opinion, slot alongside Anthony Davis, but he's still a project. He was a project before he missed a year and a half, right? It's not like he's coming back and now all of a sudden he's not going to be a project. Now, could things be easier for him alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis as opposed to in Toronto? Yeah, probably. It's probably how it is going to be. But it's just you need to go get that more secure center, right? You need to get that guy that is proven and that can slot in and play that role. And again, JJ Redick, we've heard him kind of just sprinkle, dash in a little more of the center spot and just talking heavily about AD at the 4 and then AD's playing at the 4. It does kind of feel like, hey, Rob, whenever you get a chance, can you go get me a center, like a beefy, sizable center, not these skinny, 230 7-footers, right? Can we go get like a legit, like I said, like a Walker Kessler or, probably going to be Valanciunas. Again, if I had to guess, probably who it is. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, JJ's kind of sending shots, sending signals of, hey, get me a center? Do you think, nah, it's just, he's just, talking about the center and AD playing at the 4? I definitely think it's both. I do. I think it's part of hey, no, this really does look good. And then part of it is imagine what this would look like with a real center, right? He just can't just come out and be like, Jaxson Hayes is trash. Right? Again, I wouldn't say that. It's a little harsh because Jaxson Hayes is good for who he is as a player. We need a very specific center. Jaxson Hayes just isn't that specific center that we need, so it just doesn't work the way we need it to, which is frustrating. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.